All right, welcome back. So here we are in our batch definition where we left off previously, and this time we are going to add in a piece of additional content. Now here's the section of XML that we're working with this time. Now remember that additional content is content that we can add in to our batched output that's going to contain batch detail information based on the type of information that you choose to add. And these pieces of content are built using our preferred report designer, which is Jaspersoft Studio. Now again, we're not going to get into how to build those within this course. We have a separate video series where you can learn how to create those reports. But here, we're going to add this piece of additional content, and one of the key things about adding in additional content versus an additional spread, which we are going to take a look at a little bit later in this video, is that we can have these pieces of additional content be the same size as the other signatures within the batched output. So that way we don't need to worry about the batch content sheet or the batch ticket or travel ticket taking up the entire spread. It's going to be the same size as the content we're dealing with. So if we look at the attributes that we have here we have the opening tag for additional content. Within there we have a content opening and closing tag, and then we have some other attributes with various values. Now the content type and the content URI are just like what we've seen before, where the content type specifies the implementation, and then the URI is just the name of the report file that was built. Now the name here is not real meaningful to what we're working on now. This was just a particular report that I had available to me, so I chose to use it. So this is just the name of the report file that we built using Jaspersoft Studio. We have duplex set to false, we have reverse order set to false, and I've specified the width and height to match what my content is that we've been working with for this book. Then insert first we have set to true, so that means to put this piece of additional content at the front of the job. And then our fit policy, which we're not going to get into within this training series, is just set to scale. So if by chance the additional content that we were trying to add did not match the size of our content, that fit policy would have it scale to the appropriate size, maintaining the aspect ratio of the content that we're working with. So let's go ahead and save this. We'll come back over here to our UI, back to the Products tab, and let's create a batch and see how this looks within our batched output. So after that previous video, I did a little cleanup on the system, and you can see I don't have any batches here. I removed all the previous ones that we had generated. So here we have our new batch coming in. We'll wait for this batch to finish, which may take just a little bit longer to get through, but really we haven't added that much to it. So there we have our batch. Here's our press job. We'll go ahead and view this. Now here we have our top signature still shows that fish, but here we have this new piece of content. And again, this is just something real simple that was thrown together within Jaspersoft Studio. A typical production batch ticket or travel ticket is going to contain much more data, data that's specific to the batch, things that are going to be meaningful to the finishing teams for when these jobs come off the press. Now in this case, we just have a few images that we threw down, the Infinity logo, and then we have AC for, actually I forgot what that stood for. But anyway, here is our content-sized batch ticket that we've added to our output. Now, if we keep coming down here, we can see on this next signature one part of the next spread is our slate. So that slate got pushed down because we had the attribute for this batch ticket set to insert before. So, since we are looking at additional content within the batch, I've decided to throw in an additional spread so you can see how that compares to this signature-sized additional content. So we have an additional spread here. I'm just going to remove the comment marks from it. There we go. And then we'll save this once again. come back to the UI, back over to our products tab, and let's create a second batch. Now this time, we haven't taken anything away related to our additional content batch ticket that we just put in. So we're still going to have that. We're still going to have our slate as part of the batch ticket, or I'm sorry, as part of the final batched output. And then once this batch completes, in here we should be able to see the additional spread, which again is going to be a batch ticket, but it's a batch ticket that takes up one entire spread at least. So we'll come over here to press jobs, wait for that new job to show up. We'll view that, and at the beginning here it should look exactly the same, just like what we saw before. So here's our first content size batch ticket that we're looking at. Now the other one, we didn't look at the attributes. We'll check the attributes out for that additional spread in just a little bit. But you'll see that the full spread size batch ticket that was generated is going to be at the end of this job. Now here's our slate, still just like we had previously, that was pushed down one spot due to the content size batch ticket that was added. And then here we have our book. Now I'm going to go ahead and skip all the way to the bottom, and we can see we have this full-sized batch ticket that takes up the entire spread. Now, which one of these you choose to use is going to depend on finishing equipment, different implementations that you have at your site. There's a lot of factors, or just preference for how you want these to show up. But I just wanted to give you a real quick demonstration that, we can include a full spread-sized report batch ticket, or we can include that content-sized one like we have up here at the top. So if we go back to our batch definition, let's take a quick look at some of the attributes that we see on these additional spreads. Now we've seen most of this stuff before, and really, whether it's on an additional spread or whether it's on additional content or related content, they perform the same way. They do the same things. So here we have our additional spreads element. Within that, we have one spread, and we have here insert if first page. Can't read, I'm sorry. Insert if last page is true, insert before is false. So these two attributes right here is what resulted in that additional spread ending up at the tail end of the job. We have reverse order true, so it's going to reverse the order of that. So if it would have been more than one page, we would have seen the last page first, followed by the first page. We can define a substrate, as we've talked about before, on an additional spread line, so we can tell that additional spread to use a specific substrate. And then we have the related content URI and the related content type, which again are exactly the same as far as their functionality for what we've seen before. So in this case, the URI is the name of that batch ticket that we were looking at, which is the name of the file that was generated within Jaspersoft Studio. And then we have the related content type, which is the implementation for that particular batch ticket. And typically, for additional spreads and batch tickets, you are going to see IDF batch ticket v2. So that is a very quick overview of using additional content within a batch component and using an additional spread within a batch component. So I think that's about all we're going to cover in this part of the video. So we're going to go ahead and end this one here, and I will see you in the next video.